Neil, welcome. Thanks for being on the show with us.
My pleasure, Cath.
Now, you represent the collision repair industry. You must have seen a lot of change in the motor industry at large.
It sure has been. I've only been involved in it for the last 14 years, but even in that relatively short time, the changes have been immense. Yes. Yeah. So as we head towards the infinite goal of driverless technology, driverless cars.
Driverless cars, like, it's a kind of exciting development.
I guess it is. The reality is a lot of it around already. You may not be aware, but you know, your average new car now has got automated emergency braking, it's got reactive cruise control, it's got lane departure assist, it's got a whole lot of things.
I don't think my car has any of that.
Okay. How old is your car?
I think it's like 3 or 4 years.
Oh, well, it'll have all sorts of stuff.
I probably don't know the half of it.
What is it? Come on.
So I've got a Suzuki Swift.
Lovely, great little car, great 5-star NCAP rating.
So the NCAP rating is?
To do with safety.
Okay, cool. So it's very safe. I like that.
Very safe. One thing I can tell you about it that isn't widely known is it's quite an expensive bumper to replace, but that's an issue for your insurance company as opposed to you.
If I prang it.
If you prang it.
Yeah.
and if you're insured,
which of course I am.
Which I hope you are. Good.
But it must be getting really complicated to fix cars now. Like, panel beating probably was quite simple years ago, and I imagine it's quite complicated now.
You're absolutely right. So 20 years ago, everything was made of mild steel. And mild steel you can basically cut and weld any place you like. Nowadays, cars are made out of high-strength steel, aluminium, composite materials, plastics. And if you take high-strength steel as an example, if you apply heat to high-strength steel, it becomes mild steel. So it no longer has the safety characteristics that were built into it.
Yeah.
So rejoining bits together is what the challenge is physically with cars. So that's something the industry's been struggling with for the last I guess 10, 15 years. We're in a really good place now as far as that's concerned. The next big challenge is with this ADAS, with advanced driver assist systems, the recalibration of them.
Yeah. And do you see a time where, you know, like in the immediate future, where everyone's driving around and nobody's actually driving themselves? It's
a really good question, and there's a lot of people asking that question, and there's a lot of different answers, because if you ask your average Kiwi, he'll go, well, I'm not driving a driverless car.
Yeah.
You know, the reality is that it will be assisted in some way.
Yeah.
There'll be functions that you can turn on and turn off.
Right.
It may or may not be completely driverless, like without a steering wheel and without pedals. We're some distance from that.
Yeah.
But we're right there. A friend of mine's got a car which will, in traffic, it won't hit the car in front. It'll slow down. It will stay within the lanes.
That's cool.
You don't even have to steer it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some sort of setting that says you've got to touch the steering wheel every 10 seconds to prove you're awake.
Oh, right.
But that could easily be turned off. It could easily be just doing it itself.
What's the point then? Isn't the point that you could go to sleep?
Well, I'd like to be in the back seat, frankly, doing my emails or having a glass of
wine.
There you have it.
You're going to say that.
Yeah, I'm so predictable. Yes, but yes, you're absolutely right. So that's what the future is, and so the future, you know, ultimately the future of the collision repair industry around the world is that it becomes part of a bigger industry, and that bigger industry being mobility.
Yeah.
So cars will always need to be fixed. They will have mishaps.
Yeah. But they won't crash.
They won't crash. They certainly won't crash so often.
Right.
I mean, there's even studies, something as simple as automated emergency braking, which your average Corolla that you buy today will have. So we're not talking about features that are just in European cars. We're talking about mainstream cars. There's been studies done that say that if every car had that feature, accidents would reduce by 40%.
Whoa.
So that's making a huge impact.
Yeah.
You know.
And when you think of it, when you say accident, that's one thing. But when you think of the impact of an accident, you know, people injured or dead or disabled or, you know, I mean, that's huge.
Oh, well, the human suffering's enormous, absolutely right.
Yeah.
What's the road toll in New Zealand? 300 and nearly 400 a year or something.
Wow.
It's huge.
For a tiny country, really,
For a tiny country,
you know.
Yeah. So, yeah, panel beaters, will we always need them? Not necessarily beating panels, but they'll always be repairing cars.
Okay. Are you retraining them?
So retraining becomes really important. So just like accountants, just like nurses, like doctors, panel beaters now, if they're in our little gang, have to prove that they've retrained every year, so they need to attain what we call CCAR points. That's continuous compulsory annual retraining, and they do that through courses which which iCar New Zealand put on to train them how to fix today's cars.
Right, okay.
And
So you're really growing them as change occurs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're trying to keep ahead of it, but it's difficult because things are changing exponentially.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's all change.
All change it is. That's right.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Neil. Thanks for joining us today.
Pleasure, Cath.